2018 was alright. I really love doing these top 10 videos, and especially ones that wrap up the year. But I thought 2018's games were really so mediocre that I could only narrow it down to 7. So here are the only 7 games I liked in 2018. The first season of Batman the Telltale series really blew me away. The developers seemed to really understand the characters of both Bruce Wayne and Batman, but they really stepped up their game even more in The Enemy Within. They took all of the things that made the first season great and improved on them, and that's everything I want in a sequel. The story really steps up the stakes and consequences, which will result in many tough decisions. All the baddies are here: the Riddler, Bane, Mr. Freeze, Harley Quinn, and of course, the Joker. I do wish we saw more Batman though. The game felt like it was 65% Bruce Wayne and 35% Batman. Making decisions as Bruce affects Batman and vice versa, which is something no other previous Batman games has worked with. But when we see Batman being Batman, it's awesome. Batman: The Enemy Within was clearly made with a lot of love. It's just too bad we'll never see more.
This is so exciting. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Mario Tennis Aces wasn't on my radar until I played it with my buddies, the Toka Show and Darson, at E3. We sneaked in last minute on the first night before the booth closed down, because we didn't really want to play it enough to stand in line. To our surprise, it was a lot of fun. I had a mild interest in it prior to its release. It was something that I wouldn't have picked up day one for full price, but to my surprise, it was fun enough to pick it up day one and full price, which is exactly what I did. The gameplay is fun and over the top, with performing trick shots, slowing down time to charge up your shot, and much more. You have several different ways to hit the tennis ball that are mapped to each button. This adds a good level of tactics and skill that isn't incredibly overwhelming. There are a lot of fun courts with their own hazards and personalities that give this title even more charm. And thank God there's a story mode. It's not the best in terms of narrative, but it works and I enjoyed it. I would only pick this game up if you have someone to sit next to you on the couch and duke it out. Me and a friend of mine played this almost every other night for a solid month. It's perfect for couch co-op, pick up and play, and that just one more game. Mario Tennis Aces rules. God of War is a franchise I've been quite fond of since the very beginning. This God of War game shows an older Kratos with his son Atreus. Instead of being based on Greek mythology, this game is focused on Norse mythology, and it is cleverly explained in the story. Instead of the old, mostly fixed camera angle, we now control Kratos from an over-the-shoulder perspective, which is a warm welcome to me. Personally, because I'm such a sucker for that camera angle, I'll admit it. Combat is a blast, and using the Leviathan axe is so satisfying, especially when you call it back to you with the triangle button. The narrative is fantastic and shows a sort of road trip journey with an angry god and his boy.
Get in the boat, boy. 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 This way, boy. Slow down, boy. We do what we please, boy.
Something I really admire about what they did with this title was the continuous camera throughout the entire game. There were no cuts. To pull off a feat like this is worthy of applause. This new God of War game has my favorite boss battle of all time. It's once the stranger visits you around a half an hour into the game. Without spoiling the experience, I would describe it as the best superhero fight you'll ever get to play in a video game, hands down. Cory Barlog did a fantastic job directing this title. I could tell there was a clear vision behind it, and that was a big part of what makes the game so great. Nowadays in video games, there are too many cooks in the kitchen, with everyone shoving their input in and developers and leads feeling forced to take it until you lose sight of what you're actually trying to make. It wasn't just Cory Barlog who made the game, obviously. Everyone who poured their blood, sweat, and tears over at Santa Monica Studios into this game did an outstanding job and deserve all the awards, praise, and sales. Who says single-player games are dead?
Open the door! We need your help!
This is no ordinary illness. The boy's true nature, your true nature, fights within him.
So I'm a man now. Like you?
No. We are not men. We are more than that. The responsibility is far greater.
First, you need to cut off my head.
Wait, what?
The very first Spyro the Dragon game on the PS1 is arguably my favorite game on that console. I go back and forth between that and Crash 2. I'll give you a different answer depending on the day. Thankfully, the Purple Dragon got the Crash Bandicoot treatment from Activision, and now his first 3 games have been remade from the ground up. I'll admit it, I was very hesitant at first about the art style, but once I sat down with the remake, it all made sense and my doubts were washed away. I'm still making my way around to number 2 and 3. You bet your bottom dollar I got the Platinum Trophy in the first title. The visuals are stunning and the perfect look for Spyro and his games. It's how I imagined it all when I was a young one playing it for the first time. Gameplay-wise, everything has remained the same, but this game isn't just a facelift for the original. It also adds some new flying levels that you can master. These timed collectible levels were a blast to play and never overstayed their welcome. I'm not too far into the second game, but what I can say so far is that while it'll never dethrone the original, it's a great sequel. The levels are so much more wide open with the incentive to return in 100% each and every one of them. There are lots of lovable and interesting characters that enrich the Spyro universe. The developers Toys for Bob did a fantastic job, recreating one of my favorite video game characters in his first 3 games.
I think I smell a barbecue.
Man. Onrush. This is a game I've been championing. This is a game I've been championing. There we go. For a very long time. Ever since its reveal trailer. Onrush was developed by Codemasters. Now this team was Evolution Studios, which was owned by Sony. And the last game they made before this was Drive Club. While that game was a big success, had some troubles along the way, but while that game was a big success, Sony still unfortunately shut them down. But thankfully, the fine folks at Codemasters snatched them up, saw their talent and snatched them up to develop a brand new video game. Where Onrush really shines is its multiplayer. The single player isn't really anything other than challenges to complete and points to rack up, which is fun and helps you to hone in on which vehicle works best for you. But the multiplayer is where it's at. There's a good variety of modes, but I think my favorite is Onrush's version of Control. That is something I have never seen in any racing game, and it works and really makes you that much more competitive. The gameplay is so much fun with a lot of variety, and the graphics. Playing it in HDR on a PS4 Pro and seeing how the cars wreck and react to the environment is just something that you should witness if you're a racing game fan. Unfortunately, Onrush was met with very poor sales and price was cut down a whole third within 2 weeks of its release. Was I pissed about this? No. I was crazy hyped for this game and it paid off. I had such a blast. Plus, I wanted to support these types of titles because that's what I want more of. I do get why people were mad. It totally makes sense. About 6 months after its release, it was offered for free on PlayStation Plus, which hits hard for those people who picked it up. That wasn't me. I didn't think it would fail that bad commercially. I hate that the sales didn't shine through like I hope it would. I guess I won't get many more games like this anytime soon.
I wanna be the very best that no one ever was. To catch them is my real test. To train them is my cause.
A controversial entry for sure. Not many Pokemon fans welcomed this game with open arms, but I sure did. Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are remakes of Pokemon Yellow on the Game Boy. One of the most important games to me personally. I have so much love for the original. I mean, you could pretty much be Ash Ketchum. In hindsight, he wasn't really that great of a Pokemon trainer, but I didn't know that at the time. And you know for sure I did countless playthroughs of Pokemon Yellow as Ash Ketchum with his Pokemon lineup. You get all the starter Pokemon from Red and Blue. That was so mind-blowing, and no other Pokemon game dared to do the same since. Pokemon Let's Go is a ground-up remake, except for one thing. One big thing. One thing that turned off a lot of people. One thing that tore apart the Pokemon community. Instead of turn-based battles when catching Pokemon, you catch them in the style of Pokemon Go. Hence the Let's Go title. But don't worry, you can still battle trainers. I'm a big fan of Pokemon Go and play it every single day, so I was fine with this change. Pokemon Go is huge, and to tie it in is understandable. It's also understandable the rage many people got for it. But for me, I was in love. Spending time with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was some of the most magical moments I've spent with a video game in quite a while. Back in the day when I was playing Red, Blue, and Yellow, I always imagined it as me playing through the anime I watched and was obsessed with, and that was a dream of mine. Now that dream has come true. It looks so much like the cartoon I imagined it being and imagined me playing. It is so great. I was playing this game on my Switch, handheld, of course. I'm too stubborn of a Pokemon fan to not play it handheld. But I saw the battery getting low, so I put it in the dock to charge. I was already pretty emotional from the experience. But in the meantime, while I let that charge, I popped in Spyro the Reignited Trilogy on PS4 and felt a very similar experience. Now it may sound silly, and you can make fun of me if you want to, but in that one day, I was almost brought to tears because back in that generation of consoles and graphics, it left a lot for you to imagine. Like, it wasn't as realistic and as excellent as we have our graphics in video games today. So it was a lot left up to the imagination. And me playing one of the most important video games of all time, one of my favorite video games of all time, Pokemon, and seeing that and experiencing that and feeling like I was like in the anime and like I always imagined it brought me on like almost the verge of tears. And then right after having like that incredibly emotional experience for like playing three and a half hours straight, I didn't want to stop gaming that day. And so I put in Spyro. I needed my platformer fix. But as I opened Spyro up and played it, it all rushed back to me as well too, that I was like this close from like actually tearing up. And the reason why is because I was playing these games that I played whenever I was a child that meant so much to me and still mean so much to me. And back then it did leave a lot for my imagination. You know, the graphics weren't as great, but playing it as an adult and reliving that experience, remade in exactly how I always pictured it would be, is a day I'll never forget, and a day that'll stick with me for the rest of my life. And it may sound silly, but that day was the day I got to relive my childhood. And I'll never forget that. I know I didn't really talk about why the game is like objectively great, but it's amazing, and I didn't want to put it down, and I played it for like almost 100 hours. Like I was obsessed with it. I still kind of am obsessed with it. So the game's amazing, and you should pick it up. I had to give my 2018 Game of the Year award to SpiderMan on PS4. It's the game that convinced me to get a PS4 Pro. There's not much to say that's not already been said about this fantastic superhero game. The story, while not groundbreaking, is good and very emotional. The voice acting is really top-notch, especially the voice actor for Peter Parker. He knew the best way to portray the webhead and pull it off flawlessly. From now on, when I hear Spider-Man, his voice comes to mind. Just to add on top of it, he recorded his lines twice. One way for when he's stationary, and the other way for when he's swinging. Small ideas and extra effort like that is something that really shines through. The visuals are gorgeous. It goes for realism, but still has its own style. The gameplay. Spider-Man on PS4 is one of the most satisfying games I've ever played. The web swinging is top-notch, a perfect example of how great it is. You're given the option of fast travel in the game, but not once have I used it, because of how much fun it is to swing through the city of New York with such momentum and speed that I never even thought about it. The combat is well thought out and focused a lot on Spider-Man's gadgets. Collecting and upgrading them were so satisfying, but what was even more satisfying was using them in fights. I've never played a game where you got to use much, if any, of Spider-Man's gadgets. They help break up the pace of just punching, jumping, and dodging. I was going for the Platinum Trophy in this game, and it turns out a mission I did a while back before my current autosave glitched, and I had to dig back to the nearest manual save around that time. That was 5 hours back. At first, I was mad because it glitched, but I actually ended up being really glad, because even though I lost that progress, it meant I got to play the game even more. Even though I was redoing things I've already went through, I still had a blast. One more thing that I really love about this game is the amount of costumes and love they put into each and every one. I mostly stick with the default PS4 Spider-Man suit because it's so freaking cool. But if I ever use anything else, you know it's the Spider-Man suit from the Sam Raimi films. I can go on and on about every little thing, but this video is already really long enough. I loved every second I played with this game, and I'm happy to call it my favorite video game of 2018. And it looks like we will be getting another one. Spider-Man on PS4 is the best-selling superhero game of all time, clocking in at over 13 million units sold worldwide. So those are the only 7 games I liked in 2018. Now this video is coming out quite a bit later than I had planned on, but let's reflect on what games you liked in 2018. Leave them in the comments. I'd like to have a discussion with you guys and just reflect on some great games and maybe get an idea of some games I missed. Yeah, hit me up in the comments below or at TeslaChad on Twitter. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more videos from me, comment down below and say you want to see more videos from me, and smash that subscribe button. So I think something needs to be addressed. I've been gone from this channel for quite a while, so I've got some splaining to do. So back around my Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes video, a little bit before that, I started a new job, and that job took up a lot of my time. And at that same time, my band was ramping up in things that we were needing to do. We were finishing our album that we recorded just each other, just me and the vocalist. We recorded the entire thing and wrote the entire thing ourselves. We finished the recording process and the pre-production, so we were just sending it off to get mixed and mastered, and things were ramping up to where we were practicing for live shows, getting all that stuff taken care of, marketing, yada, 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 finding members, everything of the sort. So that was taking a big priority, and I don't know if many of you know this, but I've been playing music since I was in 8th grade, off and on between bands. But the band I'm currently in is a big passion project for me. It's with some of my closest friends I've ever had, and we work really well together, and I'm so proud of it. And I have new ideas I come up with all the time, every day, and I'm very passionate about it. It's a metalcore band called Dead Wolves, no E in the Wolves. If you're a fan of metal music, be sure to check it out. I'll have it linked up here, and then linked below, and linked in the comments, and then linked at the end. But yeah, please check it out if you're a metal fan. And if you're not, and just curious about what I do and what music I play and how loud and screaming it is, check that out too. So yeah, my band was ramping up and doing a lot of important stuff, and I just kind of felt a little bit of a burnout doing YouTube, and especially starting a new job, and there was a lot going on. So I focused all of my creativity more towards my band's music and getting all that done and taking on a lot of responsibilities. And unfortunately, just kind of lost this fire for doing the YouTube stuff. But whenever I have a very big feeling, not a big feeling, I have a very strong feeling that whenever, you know, you're not passionate about something, you shouldn't do it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try, but I never want to put something out that I'm not proud of. And that's like a big deal for me. Like, because I want everything I put out, I can look back on 10 years and be like, wow, yeah, that was quality. I really like that. That's a big deal for me. So I wasn't really happy with some of the ideas I was having, etc., etc. This video's already going on too long enough. So yeah, that was the reason. But I've got that fire back, and I'm very busy this year, busier than my life will ever be. And so I'm going to try to do some more YouTube stuff. So if you liked my videos in the past and you want to see more of them, you know, please let me know. I'm so sorry for the people that really enjoy my channel. I let you guys down. I didn't mean to, but yeah, I'm sorry. I did have some splaining to do. But thank you so much if you stuck around this long. Also, if you want to hear a little bit more about my band, PlayStation trophies, and doing TeslaChad and the return of TeslaChad, one of my closest friends, Eldar Basic, has a podcast called Eldar Talks Games, and he was nice enough to invite me on, and we talked about those 3 topics, and that meant a lot to me, and it was really nice, and I'm a huge fan of podcasts, and if you are as well too, or gaming in general, I would highly recommend you take a listen to that. That will be linked at the end of the video, down in the comments, in the description, and up here. So without further ado, you know, thank you guys so much for being patient. Here's to many more, and I hope to hear from you soon.